This video is sponsored by the all-in-one website builder and business management software, Odoo. Use my link in the description to get started for free. An ancient memorization technique, known as the method of loci, or the memory palace, has been shown to meaningfully increase a person's ability to recall information, with some studies finding that an individual's recall improves upwards of 20% months after having initially used the technique. Though this is undoubtedly profound, perhaps what's even more fascinating is what the technique reveals about how the mind creates and interprets meaning, the very nature and modes in which we think and can think better. The method of loci works as follows. First, take the information you want to remember. Then, consider a familiar space or route, like an apartment, house, office, driving direction, or walking path. Then, visualize the information in various physical locations within that familiar space or route. For example, if you wanted to remember key talking points for a speech, presentation, or important conversation, you could map out a normal morning routine in your apartment, going from your bedroom to the bathroom, to the kitchen, to the living room, to the front door, to the driveway, and so on. At each of these locations, you would then imagine one of the talking points or ideas in the appropriate order of the presentation, ideally imagining it in some absurd or humorous form or spot. Then, when you need to recall the whole list of talking points, you would simply mentally walk the same normal routine through your apartment and retrieve each talking point. The reason this method works is because it utilizes and reinforces what our brains are already good at, forming connections between pieces of information and visual, spatial, emotional, or symbolic contexts and cues. Though this is why the method works, one is still left to wonder why our brains benefit from this process. How does our brain even create these visual and spatial cues inside our mind? Furthermore, why are some thoughts in the form of words, some in visuals, and some in senses or abstractions? Why are some people better at remembering, some better at communicating, and some better at thinking in general? Can one improve the way they think? All of these questions gesture at the same thing: the strange, nebulous, and diverse nature of thought. There are roughly 5 primary modes in which people experience thoughts. One is an internal voice, a mental narration or internal monologue where one is simultaneously the speaker and listener inside their head. Another is through visuals and images. Third is through feelings, the pushes and pulls of emotional states. Fourth is through sensory awareness. And last is through abstract concepts and intuitions. Most people think using a combination of a few, if not all, these various modes. However, this is not the case for everyone. Research suggests that a majority of people report having a primary mode, a dominant way in which their thoughts are experienced and directed. Some people think primarily through an internal voice, some people think primarily through visuals, and some people think primarily through concepts or feelings, with little to no words or visuals. According to psychologist Russell Hurlbert's research, it is estimated that roughly 30 to 50% of people regularly think through an internal voice. Other research and theories, including that of psychologist Linda Silverman, suggest that roughly 30% of people regularly think through visuals, with a smaller subset thinking primarily or only through visuals. For individuals like this latter subset, there is no primary mode of thinking blended with secondary modes. Rather, thought is almost wholly experienced through a single distinct mode. Often other modes of thought are not even within the realm of possibility. For example, roughly 4% of the global population is estimated to have what is known as aphantasia, where they are entirely incapable of clearly forming mental images in their mind. For them, thoughts are comprised solely of words, feelings, or abstract concepts. On the other end of the spectrum, approximately 5 to 10% of the global population does not have a strong inner voice or completely lacks one altogether. For them, there is no narrator or internal conversation. Thoughts are comprised primarily of images, abstractions, or feelings. If they want to think something in words, they have to say it out loud or write it down. In some cases, visual thinkers have a condition known as hyperphantasia, where they experience extremely vivid mental scenes and objects that can appear as real as external ones. Regardless of whether we think more or exclusively with visuals, words, or feelings, the thought that other people can and do think differently from us, possibly in a way that we can't even comprehend, is simultaneously awe-striking and somewhat unsettling. Individuals we talk and interact with every day, individuals we love and feel we know deeply, could, and in some cases likely do, think in ways that are totally foreign to us. Animal scientist and author Dr. Temple Grandin writes, "I think in pictures. Words are like a second language to me. I translate both spoken and written words into full-color movies, complete with sound, which run like a VCR tape in my head. When somebody speaks to me, his words are instantly translated into pictures. Language-based thinkers often find this phenomenon difficult to understand. Confusion here is only natural. How could anyone not think this way, the way we do? To imagine how others think in a way that we don't is impossible. It would require us to think differently than we can, which, of course, we cannot. We are all always constrained inside our head, unable to escape the modes of our thoughts and experiences, unable to understand the world and others outside of it. In truth, we may all think very similarly, but simply use different terms to describe the same mental experiences. Alternatively, we could all think very differently, more than we are even aware of, but we simply use similar terms to describe very different kinds of mental experiences. Ultimately, all our mental experiences are trapped by the guards of language. They can never get past them, and so, neither can we, our unique sense of self and the world. The fact that we ever understand each other at all is a wonder that rivals thought itself. It is often said that the average person has somewhere around 60,000 thoughts per day. The truth is simultaneously simpler and more confounding. We don't really know how many thoughts the average person has per day. That isn't how thinking works. Thoughts constantly flow, bubbling up in unique forms for each of us and in each moment, from short impulses to intense ruminations, from visuals to words to feelings. What is clear, however, is that we think a lot, and how we think matters a lot. How we think can affect tangible things, like what we are good at and where we end up in life. For example, people who think with vivid visuals are more likely to remember precise details from past events. They also tend to pursue and succeed more in careers in art and media. Alternatively, people with aphantasia or weaker visual thinking tend to pursue and succeed more in STEM fields. More than that, the quality of our experience in life is, of course, also entwined with our thoughts. Our experiences in life are not only unique based on our modes of thought, but also the direction we compel our thought, how we focus and receive it. Psychologists Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert found that 47% of our waking thoughts go to thinking about what isn't going on around us. That means roughly half of our existence is spent thinking about what is not currently real. Instead, we are thinking about the past, the future, or some totally imagined reality. This isn't inherently bad. Mind wandering can lead to powerful ideas and insights, can help us overcome the past, and can protect us from the future. But thinking about what is not is inherently a deprivation of what is, a sacrifice of the present for some imagined alternative reality. Killingsworth and Gilbert write, "The ability to think about what is not happening is a cognitive achievement that comes at an emotional cost. That cost, they found, is greater unhappiness." Based on their research, mind wandering explains about 10.8% of the variation in people's moment-to-moment happiness, while the activity that someone is doing only explains about 4.6%. In other words, how we direct our thoughts generally matters more than what we are doing in any given moment. In the words of psychologist and philosopher William James, "Millions of items of the outward order are present to my senses, which never properly enter into my experience. Why? Because they have no interest for me. My experience is what I agree to attend to. Only those items which I notice shape my mind. Without selective interest, experience is an utter chaos. Interest alone gives accent and emphasis, light and shade, background and foreground, intelligible perspective." Somehow, clumps of brain matter that house neurons, that create electrical impulses, produce all of this, the various modes of thinking and perception, words, symbols, images, sounds, feelings, and everything else. It's easy to forget this, to just keep everything on the default mode of perception and awareness, and to assume that every instance of subjective experience is simple and straightforward, and not the miraculous, profound display of consciousness that it truly is. Perhaps this is what we need to remember more than anything else. We should strive to use the method of loci to create a memory palace of the entire world, placing reminders for us at every moment, place, and opportunity, to remember the profundity of remembering itself, to see and recall the immense and incomprehensible wonders of thought, of selfhood, of consciousness, of existence. We live all our lives in our heads. We live nearly half of it in imagined worlds. We should decorate both with as much beauty, humor, wonder, and presence as we can, however our thoughts will allow. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoy my work, I'm happy to share that my new book, The Terrible Paradox of Self-Awareness, is about to come out, It explores many of these same ideas around selfhood, consciousness, and how we can live well within the absurd condition of our minds. It's available for pre-order now through the link in the description. And no matter how we think, what we do with our thoughts next matters a lot. How we reflect them outwardly and express them in the world, whether it's through a creative expression, a business, a social cause, or all the above. This video sponsor, Odoo, provides the platform, the canvas, for you to do so at full scale. Odoo makes building a website not only easy and comprehensive, but accessible with a free website builder that lets you begin without any friction. You start by answering a few prompts, then you choose the general look and feel you want, and you already have a working first version of your website. From there, you simply tweak it, dragging and dropping dynamic elements and features until you have what you envisioned in your head. It's an unrestrained way of letting your thoughts and ideas pour out and become something tangible. Once you're all set up and your site is live, Odoo also allows you to manage things like inventory, accounting, project goals, and more, all within the same integrated platform. For example, if you're running a small business, Odoo can trigger purchase orders, automate follow-ups, schedule receipt confirmations, and keep everything organized in one place. With your first app free, unlimited hosting and support, and a free custom domain name for the first year, Odoo ensures you don't need to overthink anything. If you want a simple, flexible way to build something meaningful, you can get started for free by using my link in the description. And of course, as always, thank you so much for watching in general, and see you next video.